I used to work at a 24-hour gas station on the edge of town. It wasn't the busiest place, especially after midnight, but it paid the bills. My shifts were usually from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m., and most nights were quiet, with only the occasional trucker or late-night traveler stopping by. But one night things took a turn that still gives me chills. It was around 2 a.m. when a car pulled into the parking lot. It was an old, beat-up sedan with tinted windows. I didn't think much of it at first. People came and went all the time, but this time the car just sat there, engine running. For what felt like forever, I kept glancing out the window, trying to see if anyone was inside, but the tent was too dark. Finally, the driver's door opened and a man stepped out. He was tall, wearing a hoodie despite the warm night, and he walked with a slight limp. He didn't head straight for the store like most customers. Instead, he circled his car a few times, looking around like he was checking for something or someone. Then he slowly made his way inside. The bell above the door jingled as he entered, and I greeted him with my usual, "Hey, how's it going?" He didn't respond. He just stood there, staring at me from under his hood. I could feel my skin crawl, but I tried to stay calm. "Can I help you find anything?" I asked, forcing a smile. He didn't answer right away. Instead, he started pacing the aisles, picking up random items: a bag of chips, a bottle of water, a pack of gum, and putting them back down. He wasn't really looking at anything. It was like he was just killing time. Every so often, he'd glance over at me, and I'd quickly look away, pretending to busy myself with something. After what felt like an eternity, he finally walked up to the counter. He placed a single pack of gum down and slid it toward me. I rang it up, trying to avoid eye contact, but I could feel his eyes on me the entire time. When I told him the total, he reached into his pocket and pulled out a crumpled bill. As he handed it to me, his fingers brushed against mine, and I froze. His skin was ice cold. I gave him his change, and he just stood there, staring at me. "Is there anything else I can help you with?" I asked, my voice trembling slightly. He didn't say a word. Instead, he leaned in closer, and I could smell something sour on his breath. "You're here all alone, aren't you?" he finally said, his voice low and gravelly. I didn't know how to respond. My heart was pounding, and my mind was racing. I glanced at the phone behind the counter, wondering if I should call for help, but before I could make a move, he straightened up and walked out the door. I watched as he got back into his car and drove off, relief washing over me. But the relief didn't last long. About an hour later, the same car pulled back into the parking lot. My stomach dropped as I saw the man get out again. This time, he didn't hesitate. He walked straight into the store, his hood still up, and headed right for the counter. "I forgot something," he said, his voice eerily calm. I didn't know what to do. I was alone, and the nearest help was miles away. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small, folded piece of paper. He slid it across the counter toward me. "Open it," he said. My hands were shaking as I picked up the paper and unfolded it. Inside was a crude drawing of the gas station, with a stick figure standing behind the counter. Underneath it, in messy handwriting, were the words, "I'll be back." I looked up at him, my heart racing. He was smiling now, but it wasn't a friendly smile. It was the kind of smile that made my blood run cold. "See you soon," he said, before turning and walking out the door. I didn't wait to see if he'd come back. I locked the doors, called the police, and waited in the back room until they arrived. They searched the area but didn't find him. The car was gone, and there was no trace of the man. I quit that job the next day. I couldn't shake the feeling that he was still out there, watching, waiting. Even now, years later, I still think about that night. I wonder if he ever came back, and if he did, who was there to face him. All I know is I'll never work the night shift again.